Hi everyone. It's a rare opportunity that you get to sit up close and personal with a childhood cricketing heroes of yours. Welcome to JXT Spotlight. Today we have a very special guest. I remember back in 1994 or 1995 at P. Sara Oval, I'm running and staying in the queue to get his autograph. Today I have this gentleman in front of me and I have the privilege of having a very casual chat with him. To introduce this personality, without if I be very specific, you will figure out who the person is. He got 15,500 runs in international cricket, 31 centuries, 86 50s. He was named the Wisden Cricketer of the Year 1996. Wisden top 100 batting. His name was entered 6 times. He was just one less than great Vivian Richards. 2023, he was inducted to the Hall of Fame of ICC Hall of Fame of Cricket. So, without further ado, our 1996 World Cup cricketing hero, Mr. Aravinda De Silva, is on our show. Aravinda, welcome to JXT Spotlight, and the spotlight is on you. So, folks, our objective today is to pick Aravinda's brain in terms of his cricketing memories, his experience, and also his experience from the business world, and to draw inspiration from that for our followers. Aravinda, to start our conversation. This is a question I had from back in the day because I was a huge fan of yours. Who was your cricketing idol?
It was Viv Richards, without a doubt. As a child, I think I was so passionate about sport, and one thing I was more passionate was cricket and tennis. And there were two individuals whom I used to adore, and one was Viv, and the other was Pete Sampras. So on the cricketing front,
Viv Richards, yeah.
Viv was idol.
And I believe your eldest son is named after Pete Sampras.
Yes, he's called Sampras.
Right. Okay. Very interesting. I think Viv Richards was a unique style of batting, and you can still watch him bat and enjoy that. Your debut was when you were 18 years old for Sri Lanka, and I mean, looking at the international fast bowlers from Australia to West Indies to etc., you weren't a big made batsman, but you were fearlessly hammering every ball. I remember as a kid, we were trying to imitate how you bat as well. Uh, what was that mindset? How did you, being fearless? I have seen in some of the interviews also, how did you overcome that barrier, Arinda?
Well, I guess from a very young age, I used to love motor racing, and another hero of mine was Michael Schumacher. He's no more, though. So I used to drive my vehicles and ride motorcycles at a very young age. And I was a reckless driver and a very reckless rider as well. So I guess I probably would have gathered that fearlessness through that. Maybe because I started at a very young age. But looking back, at some point, I used to think, my God, what the hell was I doing? So I think with age you mature and then you tend to understand what life is all about. And I guess at that young age, you become that much more
Aggressive and fearless. Yeah, I remember Mahela at one of the casual discussions mentioning Arvind had stroke for any ball, and he could hammer anywhere. So I think that fearlessness brought an element of risk, and that paid off as well. And also, I mean, there were situations that you got into mess as well with being fearless. But one of the areas that we would like to hear your thoughts: Sri Lanka from 1994 to 1996. That era, if you look at it, there was a build-up. I mean, we had a lot of talent. We weren't the top notch. We were the underdogs always, but there was a build up, and I think the pivot point was also the Australian tour, the Tri Nations we played. I would like to ask you, how did the mindset change within the team? I'm sure there were a lot of conversations, a lot of motivations and focus. I would like to take your memory back and ask, how did the team felt? What was the conversation that you all had during this build up?
Well, I think there are a lot of things which fell into place. I think just prior to the 95 tour, one of the most important areas was that we lacked proper sort of training and a coach. I mean,
Physical,
fitness
fitness,
training.
yeah.
So when we mentioned this to Ana Punchiheb, I think, who was the president at the time, he said, "Look, I think if that is what you require, we need to find two good coaches." And then suddenly realized that there wasn't enough money to pay the kind of coaches we were looking for. So I think at that point, the Sri Lankan community in Australia and the Australian Cricket Board came forward to support the Sri Lankan board by providing some sort of salary towards or a contribution towards the salary of Dev and
Alex,
Alex
yeah.
Contouri at the
Right.
time. So since then, I think a lot of things changed because I think we had Alex, who was very focused guy, and I think he really pushed us to the limit on the fitness front, and Devi, being very structured on the coaching front, helped us a lot. And I think more than the seniors, he helped most of the youngsters. I think that was very important because to get the best out of some of those youngsters really helped in some crucial times, because it's a team game at the end of the day. So seniors alone cannot achieve whatever targets we wanted to achieve, but ultimately, as a team, collectively, with the support of some of these youngsters, also performing at very crucial times, those little contributions really mattered, and then ultimately, we were able to put all that together and make a very strong team.
The 95 Australia tour also, Aravinda, was a challenging one, physically as well as mentally. Did you all believe that we can pull through, or was it like just struggling the battle?
Well, I think it made us tougher
Yeah,
because I think in life, if you go through hardships and barriers, it makes you a tough
absolutely.
person at the end of the day. And I think that is one period where we were taught a lot of things. There were obstacles, like Murali was called. So I think all those things happen for the best in a career. When you go through all those, that is what experience is all about.
Absolutely.
Once you face all those obstacles, then comes crunch time. At least you use all those experiences to make sure that you see through some of those difficult times, and that's exactly what happened, I guess.
Absolutely. Packed Eden Gardens, Sri Lanka, two down for one run. You walk in. I still watch that video. I have it on DVD, and it was like watching highlights. You got that 60 odd runs in 40 odd balls, and certain shots. I remember the commentator saying, "Class, class, class," until the ball goes to the boundary. Walking there, Arvind, amidst that pressure, what went through your head?
Yeah, I think walking out on that day, I very well remember going arriving at the grounds and seeing about 100,000 people around the coach as we entered. And then once we got onto the ground, suddenly saw another 100,000 inside. So it was a packed house for that semi final. And one thing it told me was, well, look, the pressure is on India,
India.
not on us. Uh, and then, of course, once we were 2 wickets down for almost nothing, then it was a challenge. And I think those kind of situations I really cherish because I think that is when most times have brought the best out of me. So I guess At that time, I thought, okay, this is a good opportunity to just go there, play my normal game and attack because that's what I'm good at, and not to change my style, just to make sure that they were on an attacking mood, and just go and counter attack, and that was my motto. And I just walked out there wanting to do that. So luckily, it came out, came
Quite
off.
well. Yeah.
So I think it made a huge difference because looking back, I think the conditions also suited for me to bet in the way I did, and that's what I've been doing all along. So I guess that was a very very crucial
Absolutely.
part of the tournament.
Were you at any point were you nervous because any batsman who have played cricket knows that once you get into the crease, once you hit the ball, at least you hit the middle of the bat, then you get some confidence. Were you at any point nervous walking there?
Well, no, I remember because as a team we were performing pretty well, and I remember telling Arjuna during the quarterfinal as we entered the quarterfinal. Uh, I told Arjuna the previous night, if we get through this quarterfinal, I'm sure we will go on to,
Win all the way.
well, not win, we will go on to be in the finals.
Okay.
And because that was the pressure game actually, that quarterfinal,
Quarterfinal.
because we entered a stage where it was knockout stage,
Yeah.
and that was a crucial game. And I think Sanat gave a really good start when we were chasing against England.
England, yeah.
And even on the field, I think there were little contributions even from Upul Chandana, who
Yeah.
came on for a couple of overs onto the field when Vasi went off the field. So those little things, that's why I said as a team, they all matter.
Matter.
And during that time, we managed to keep them to a decent total, but the wicket was crumbling towards the latter part, and ultimately we had the experienced guys after me, Arjuna, Roshan, and Hashan,
Yeah.
and luckily they saw us through, and it was a vital game to really win. And after that, I think a lot of the pressure was off
Yeah.
because you entered the semi-final, and it was only a matter of playing well on that particular day, which would have meant that we probably can all win and go all the way.
See through, yeah, absolutely. I think that game is still memorable for all of us. I cherish yes, the World Cup final was a great match, and in the semi-final was a peach of a match that we can always watch. 1996 World Cup team, that entire squad you mentioned about the team dynamics, etc. I think we use that as a case study in the business world, building up teams, because we can clearly see there were specific roles within that 11 or even the extended squad. We can understand your role as the vice captain as well as the key batsman in two down coming in. Did you have any specific role to play off the field with the team?
Well, off the field in the sense, it was a case of keeping everyone happy, and keeping the spirits up. So it's not that easy with a team when you have to always, because sometimes people don't perform too well and they'll be mentally down. So you need to pull them up, support each other. So I guess that's why I thought this team was very special, because the unity amongst the team was enormous, and everyone supported each other at all times. And I felt that that was one of the key reasons for us to win that World Cup, because there were no egos. Everyone was there wanting to do their best and support each other. When someone failed, it was like you failing.
Yeah.
And when someone performed well, it was again like feeling as if I have performed. So I think that's the sort of feeling you need amongst the team if you are to be successful. So I guess that amount of feeling amongst each other was there, and that was the reason I felt that ultimately we were able to win that particular World Cup.
So I think you key point you mentioned keeping everybody happy and mentally stable because you have a pressure game and crunch coming in. I remember in one of the interviews, I can't remember exactly, was it Pramod or anybody else said one of the instructions from Arjuna was to keep Aravinda happy and he will get things done on the field. Moving from that, Aravinda, into the memorable World Cup final, again, you walked in a time there we were 2 wickets down and Asanka Gurusinghe was on the other side. I would like to hear the conversation both of you had. And, we all know Guru Singha's role was very different, but on that day we saw some aggression from him as well. What type of conversation both of you had?
Well, I'm a guy who doesn't talk very much in the middle, but I think everyone had a role to play, and my thing is that when someone is betting on the other side, unless there's an absolute necessity, I wouldn't tell them what to do
Okay.
unless they ask me. Because, see, cricket is a game, especially betting. When it comes to betting, it's all a mental game, and people prepare in different ways. And when things are going well, I wouldn't want to change, but I am a guy who would try all sorts of things. Sometimes I would fail, sometimes it might come off, but I was never worried to take those chances. Um, so I couldn't expect everyone to be the same.
Yeah.
In my case, it was a case of looking at it, and if I see something, and if they ask, I will tell them.
Yeah.
But when we are going well, I would say just keep going.
Allowed to do, yeah.
And when I very well remember at one point Arjuna came up to me and asked me whether I should have a go at Warney.
Okay.
So I said, no, hang on till the last run, because it's very important for us to be there,
Yeah.
as being the seniors who can
To see it
handle
through.
some pressure, because I've learnt it in the past during a test match which took place at the SSC, and then again another match at Kandy against Australia, because my dream was to beat Australia in a test match, and in that test match we had to get 160 odd to win. We were 120 odd for two when
This
I
is
was
the
betting
SSC.
at the
Yeah,
SSC,
yeah.
and then suddenly I started thinking, when we had to get about 20 or 30 runs, I was suddenly thinking of the celebrations, and my mind went, need to reach this target quickly, and suddenly lost my concentration. Played a rash shot. Not well. That's where I bet, but I could have just hung around and just waited for a little bit longer. But I thought 20 odd runs might as well
Might as
get
well
it
finish it,
quickly. And I learnt a big lesson there, to make sure that cricket, you can never say you have won the game until the last ball is bowled. So after we lost that match, that was a huge lesson, and I was never able to get it off my head. So on that particular day, the World Cup final, I kept on reminding myself of that day, and told myself, till that last ball,
Yeah.
till the last run is made, I'm not going to take any chances and just keep going. And so I think that's what experience is all about. You learn through your mistakes. As long as you learn, that's what
absolutely.
it's important. And then you try to give those experiences to the next generation, to try and get them mature and better at a very young age, so that they'll have a longer career. So that's our duty.
Absolutely. The experience and the learning matures you and you pass it down to the next generation as well. Talking about 1995, you replaced Carl Hooper in Kent. You scored 1,200 runs with 2 double centuries. Since I've been a follower of your cricket, I've seen a massive shift, especially from, I was actually explaining my team also, the stance, the bat you use, the style you used to play completely changed, and that also gave a lot of consistency in run scoring. And in 1997 with Pakistan, I think within 8 days you got 3 centuries in test matches. How did this change happen, Arvind? I mean, like, you were aggressive, but you weren't aggressive as you were previously, but very consistent run getting. I'm sure there was a change in the stance as well, I suppose.
Well, I would have changed my stance so many times, my grip so many times. Every time I go out, I just take a bat, and sometimes I feel if it feels good, I
Good,
just
yeah.
take that one and go. I was not that superstitious when it came to playing cricket. I think the biggest difference was as I went to Kent, it was the first time ever a Sri Lankan cricketer went and was invited to play county cricket, and then after attaining test status. So it was a huge responsibility. I felt as if it was a huge responsibility, and like at that particular moment, it was more of a shock to me for them to pick me above a lot of the international cricketers. And then once I went there, uh, because of that reason, the first uh, 3 to 4 weeks or first month or so, I really struggled because I just built up so much pressure within me by raising the expectations uh, of performing. And then suddenly once I started moving around with my teammates, then some of the oppositions which had lot of the international players,
Yeah.
suddenly realized that these guys were also just like me, just another human being who's again under pressure. They also struggle, and that really told me, well, why am I worrying so much? Because everyone is under pressure when it comes to cricket, and it's normal. And actually, that part gave me um a lot to say that you have to believe in your ability and not worry about failure. Just go out there and play your normal
Normal
game,
game.
and then the next inning, I went out there. I got 100, and ever since that time, I told myself, look, I am I am not really believing in my ability and my talent. So after that, I just started to believe in my ability, and also more than that, to always feel that everyone else whom I was playing against was under the same amount of pressure
Pressure.
as I am,
Right.
and that really equaled the
The grounds. Yeah.
grounds on the playing field. So that made it easier for me to again go out there and play my natural game. I became more relaxed, and since then I started to perform really well. And after that, when they came and started talking to me and asking me how do I do this, how do I do that, then I really got more confident,
Confident.
uh, which really helped me to carry through the international career as well. And I think that was a real turning point of my career. I felt that it helped me a lot in developing as a cricketer as well as an individual, uh, to understand that the whole that bit of exposure, worldwide exposure, really helped me to become that much better at even at international cricket.
Absolutely. That was fascinating to see that change and the shift in terms of consistency coming through. Um, Going from 1995, we spoke about the 96 World Cup. 1999 World Cup in England, we had a disaster. We were out of the first round. What do you think went wrong with us? Because
Well,
we had more or less the same team from 96, more or less.
yeah, I think that was the biggest problem because uh, see, it was two different venues. 1996 was Asia,
Yeah.
and 1999 was
England. Yeah.
England,
Yeah.
in March and April. Um, so the combinations of the two teams, 96 team, and we more or less had the same sort of squad touring in 99. I felt was a disaster. In fact, Arjun and I sat through that selection committee meeting, and we wanted some extra seamers
Right.
uh, of whom the selectors didn't
Didn't
want
want to.
to give us. And halfway through the selection meeting, both of us decided, and we walked off the selection meeting and told them to select the team. And I think that is something I realized that uh, later on, that certain conditions you need certain players.
Different skill
And
sets sometimes.
yeah, so it is very, very important to make sure that those kind of conditions we pick the right squad. And that helped me also to uh, develop that knowledge when I became a selector. We had to do a lot of planning to not only understand the conditions but also understand the venues you were playing
Playing.
at,
Yeah.
how those venues behave, and to have the necessary combinations within a squad
Right.
when you pick a squad for any kind of tour. So I think those are learnings along the way.
Yeah.
And losing in 1999, as I mentioned, South Africa was 42 for 5.
Yeah.
And then we didn't have a seam bowler to bowl because we had 6 or 7 spinners
Spinners on
on
the.
that World Cup squad, and we had to bowl Mahila
Yeah.
as a third seamer after running through with the two fast bowlers up to that point. So I think that is what happened, and then we lost to Kenya as well because those seamers just kept on moving the ball, and the conditions suited them
Suited them.
that much more. And we just had spinners who couldn't even grip the ball in
With
those
the
cold
conditions, yeah.
conditions. Yeah, and I think if it was towards the latter part of the summer, it would have been different. But this is how it is now. We have that much more experience and exposure. There's knowledge within the country, the cricketers, and all administrators to be able to cope with that.
Absolutely. I think it re-emphasized the fact that that just because you were successful in one situation, the conditions may change. So you'll probably need different skill sets and different thinking to overcome different
For
challenges.
sure.
Um, you were in and out of captaincy also. You captained in 1992 World Cup as well, and then you were vice captain. You were playing as a member of the team. In terms of leadership, how did you feel from being a captain, and did the captaincy have an effect on your performance? Not being the captain, did it affect in terms of mentally, where am I?
Well, I got the captaincy when Arjuna had some issues, and also when Arjuna was injured, I was appointed captain on a particular tour. So for me, it was not a full run captaincy, and I was never the person who was wanting to be the captain of a team and not support. Whether I was the captain or not, my support was the same towards the team. So as a captain, I think a lot of credit should go to Arjuna as well, because I think at a time when Sri Lanka or the Sri Lankan team felt as the underdog all the time, he's one guy really changed that mindset. And every time we walked in playing Pakistan, he probably would have been the only person in the world who would have uh, had a fight with a guy like Javed Miandad,
Right.
or get into a confrontation. So I think he just didn't want to bow down to anyone, whether it's Imran or anyone.
Anyone, yeah.
So At times, I think when you go into a very competitive situation, if you don't have that amount of confidence and aggression, it becomes a little bit hard to come out winners. So I think Arjuna, to be give him the credit, actually changed that mindset from being babes of Sri Lanka cricket to be
Some aggression. Yeah.
some aggressive competitive team. So I think that is what really changed from the time Arjuna took over, and I think it helped because most of these youngsters were also quite young. Once you take some of 4 or 5 of the senior guys, the youngsters had just come into the team.
Yeah.
So, and then they had a lot of respect for Arjuna, which made it that much easier. But as they grew, things changed. So that's why I said it was 96 was ideal
Yeah.
because there were no egos, nothing.
And
But
that's
then
got played for some time together.
some
also,
time
yeah?
together.
Yeah.
We played almost for 10 years.
10 years together.
But see, teams, it becomes very difficult once you have too many stars.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that is probably what really happened.
Changed.
And in 1999, I guess those were some of the issues for our debacle.
So during your captaincy, even the short stints, did it have an effect on your performance?
Well, I think once or twice I had a bad series against Pakistan because right through that tour I carried an injury as well.
Okay.
And so I don't know whether it was more the injury
Yeah. Or the
or
pressure of captaincy.
or the captaincy, because it was both together at the same
Okay.
time. And I wouldn't want to come off the field, though I was in a
Pain.
lot of pain. So I used to take a lot of hydrocortisons and keep playing.
Yeah.
Um, so it was mentally it was very tough during that tour. So that's why it's very hard for me to fathom whether it was a bit of both or whether it was one.